Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm Rana Aboulsamh from the cybersecurity track in the Google Developer Student Clubs here at Imam Abdurrahman bin Faisal University. Welcome to my workshop today, titled Social Engineering, the Art of Hacking Humans. Let's get started. So our workshop goals for today are as follows. I will give you guys a brief introduction to what social engineering is, how it works, its life cycle, and then some of the most common types of social engineering attacks that hackers use in the real world. But don't worry, I'll let you in on a few tips and tricks you can use to protect yourself from said attacks. Then we'll get to the fun part where we will explore the social engineering toolkit on Kali Linux. So please stay tuned for that. Now we begin. So what exactly is social engineering? Well, in the context of cybersecurity and the technical world, it means manipulating unsuspecting victims into giving up confidential information they wouldn't, دقيقة, under normal circumstances. معلش عذرا يا جماعة في مشكلة بسيطة بس. اوكي جتني رسالة من المنظمين قالوا الزوم ويب سايت عشان شهادات الحضور كان فيها مشكلة، فعشان نضمن إنه الشهادات تجيكم عادي لو سمحت بس ترسلوا إيميلاتكم في الشات مرة ثانية عشان نسيبها من الريكوردينج بدل من الويب سايت هذاك. سموحة والله ما أدري إيش صار. اوكي عشان نضمن بس ان شاء الله يعني ما تحصل مشاكل بعدين. اوكي خلينا نكمل. And so in essence it means psychologically manipulating people in order to get information from them. Now, the way they usually go about doing this is that they play with the key senses to make it more difficult for you to make rational decisions, such as fear, anger, guilt, excitement, and so on. So it goes without saying that when you play with people's emotions, it will make it so much easier to have them under your control. So you can see how that's very effective. After all, you can't install an antivirus on a person. It's consistently said that in cybersecurity, the weakest link are people. Now, let's take a look at how a social engineering attack takes place. It's a very simple process, but as you probably realize by now, very powerful. There are four main phases: investigation, hook, play, and the exit. In phase one, the investigation, our attacker will identify who the victim is, and they will get all the information they possibly can on them, so they can then select the method of attack. This moves on to phase two, the hook. Here, our attacker will begin engaging with the target, but it must be mentioned at this point that the targets are usually skeptical, they're suspicious, they're wondering why this person is even talking to them, which is why the hacker will do anything and everything to take control of the narrative. Don't let them do that. But should they successfully do, they will move on to phase three, the play. Now our attacker and target would have built some level of trust and repertoire. The conversation is flowing and the target is unknowingly giving them sensitive information. But be it because the attacker made them happy, mad, sad, excited, or any other heightened emotion that makes us susceptible to making not very smart decisions. Now, the exit. Our attacker is happy with the information they received, and they will attempt to bring the conversation to a natural and inconspicuous end as possible. So to see this in action, let's consider the following example. The attacker has identified you, a recent graduate looking for a job, and you applied to some company. This is them preparing. Then they decide to call you or emailing you by pretending to be the hiring manager at your new workplace. This would be the hook. They'll praise how great your CV is and that they want to get to know you, but in order for you to start right away, they need to get some financial things sorted out, and they need your bank details. This would be the play phase. After you've given them these details, they'll say thank you and they're very much looking forward to working with you next week. But so you go to bed happy, but with 1 riyal to your name because they stole all your money. I mean, granted, that's where I am most of the time, but you get the picture. Now, I know what you're thinking. Surely no one would fall for that. But imagine yourself for a minute, a young person who got their dream job. HR is telling you that you're a great catch and that the company is just so lucky to have you. Wouldn't you give them your bank details so your first paycheck comes through? Now, if they'd called you, this would be called a phishing attack, so voice phishing. But the phishing family is quite big. You have phishing for emails that are usually vague. Then you have spear phishing, which is targeted and catered towards a certain individual. And then smishing, yeah, that's a real word. Those are for text messages. And I'll show you an example of a phishing email in a minute. Then we have baiting. This plays primarily on curiosity, and it can be conducted via hardware or software. And it's a false promise to entice the victim. In fact, there was an experiment conducted in 2016 by Black Hat, which is a very well-known cybersecurity company. They dropped around 300 malicious USBs in a university campus, and of the ones retrieved, 98% of them were picked up and 45% of them were plugged into people's computers and they were looking around. So just as they tell you when we were children to not accept candy from strangers, do not accept tempting USBs with the word confidential written on them. Then we have Scareware. This plays on fear, as the name suggests. These are fake pop-ups or programs that make you believe that there's something wrong with your device when there really isn't. There'd be lots of blinking lights and red warning signs and things like that. So they'd visually distort you. So you click on a safe-looking link because you just want it to stop. But ironically enough, that's the exact link that you don't even want to come close to. And from there, once you click on it, the hacker can access your device, trick you into downloading an actual malicious file. The possibilities are endless. And then last and most certainly not least, we have pretexting. This goes hand in hand with other attacks. And the word pretext in the English language means giving a reason that isn't real. So as with our earlier example, with applying to a job, this is a form of phishing/pretexting attack. So this is an example of a phishing email. You're gonna ask me, how do I know it's a phishing email? First of all, there are a lot of spelling mistakes and grammatical errors. And my email service provider is telling me that there are problems with this message and how it's displayed. Plus, no company is going to send you an HTML file with your details in them. And this is an example of a Scareware program pop-up. As you can see, I was going to put a different one, but those can be very annoying and they really do hurt your eyes. So as you can see, it's like big red warning, and it's telling you that there are 5 viruses detected, and they, for some reason, they go up to 7, 8, 100 viruses. And thankfully, this very nice looking button says remove viruses now, which is what's going to get the hacker to access your device. So how can I protect myself from these things? Well, let's ask ourselves, how do I know that I'm being engineered? Let's say in a given scenario, ask yourself the following questions. Are my emotions heightened? Is the email that I've received, is it legitimate? And do I know who the sender is? And can this person prove their identity to me if I ask? Plus, is what they're saying, does it make sense? Is the offer too good to be true, or is it realistic enough? I know these seem like a lot of questions to ask over a single email or a simple phone call, but in the world of cybersecurity, being cautious is a matter between life and a hacked computer. Good news though, the ones most likely trying to hack you are human as well, we hope. That means you can engineer them right back if you want, but do so cautiously. عندي قصة بسيطة يعني قبل فترة لو كنتوا في دفعتي الواتساب حقي تهكر والهاكر حقي أرسل لكل أحد عندي أنا رنا وأحتاج فلوس ولو سمحتوا ترسلوا بطاقة البنك من قدام من ورا يعني طلعني شحات المجرم بس المهم فالحمد لله صحباتي يعرفوا إنه هذا مو أنا بس أنا خفت على like my great aunts, my great uncles, you know, my older relatives. فقلنا لهم الموضوع بس واحدة من صاحباتي جتها الفكرة قالت إيش رأيك we social engineer him back. قلت لها إيش نسوي؟ قالت لي أخذت ال IP address locator link و we disguised it as a PayPal link وراحت له قالت له أنا ما عندي بطاقة بنك بس عندي PayPal. إيش رأيك أرسل لك البايبال؟ أقول له أوكي. فلما ضغط على اللينك عرفنا ال IP address حقه وطلع إنه هو في الرياض. وبس يعني this is just an example that you don't have to be a passive target. You can also do other things to turn the tables on them. Don't open malicious emails. That's an obvious one. Then you have multi-factor authentication. الهاكر حقي actually enabled multi-factor authentication on my WhatsApp. So instead of getting it back the next day, I got it back in a week. And it was horrible. So please enable multi-factor authentication on all your applications. All of them have them by now. Then these next two, they're very obvious. Keep your antivirus updated, set your spam filters. By now, I think it's a default that these things are on. And now these two, I mean, even the most cautious of us sometimes fall trap to this. We're all familiar with security questions. They're so widespread now, and the list is quite regurgitated. Nearly every website has the same one. So a simple look at your Facebook page or any social media account and the hacker would find out the answer. So I would argue that these questions themselves are a form of social engineering. I mean, I don't exactly remember the street that I lived on when I was 3, you know? And then building online friendships. I mean, we live in a tech-connected world. We're bound to join online communities and make friends with others. But being too cautious here is never a bad thing. You know, are you sure you're talking to the person who they say they are and not some, I don't know, 45-year-old creep in their mum's basement? Now, remember that as unique as we like to think we are, we have traits that we all share. We like being complimented, we're naturally curious, and we tend to have a stronger inclination towards trust and helping others than we do to their opposites. Unfortunately, hackers tend to exploit this for their own gain, and it can be very difficult to tell friend from foe. But keep these tips in mind, actively think, slow down, make sure you have all the facts, and trust your instinct. This is more effective than you know. Now I'm sure we get to the part that everybody is looking forward to. Before we begin this section, I want to emphasize that this is purely for educational purposes. Do not do this to anyone. It's dangerous. No matter how tempting it is, they can have very real consequences if done poorly. Okay, so let's review the tools that we're going to use in this practical section. There are many tools, but due to time, I will show you the social engineering toolkit, which in and of itself has quite a lot of things. It's essentially an extensive library of social engineering tools and the first open source of its kind. If you have Kali Linux downloaded, then this will come pre-installed and you can access it using sudo se toolkit. So let's see it in action. Okay. Gonna go open Kali now. Okay, let me just get some things started, and in the meantime, I hope everybody's doing okay. All right, thank you guys for waiting. Now let's begin. Okay, so I'm gonna write sudo se toolkit. Sudo means that I'm gonna access it as an administrator. And then I'm going to put my password. Okay, so I'm going to choose the social engineering attack. There are many of them. As you can see, and all these modules have inner modules, and it goes on and on and on. So the first one that I want to show you is the website attack vector. I'm going to pick number 2. And this one gives you just a brief introduction, a brief description of every single one. Some of them are more complex than others, but I'll show you the most simple one, which is a credential harvester attack. I'm going to choose option 3. And you have the custom import means that you made your own website and you import an HTML file. I haven't done this, so I'm going to show you the site cloner. Don't worry when you see this. This just says that the IP address, this is the one that the social engineering toolkit knows to use when accessing the browser. So just, I'm going to use the default one. And the URL, I think I want to clone a website that we all know and love. Website we visit on a daily basis at this point. That's the one and only Blackboard. اوكي خلينا نهكر لكم ونشوف درجاتكم كيف. Alright. So now it's cloning. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to go this. Okay. Okay, now it opened a fake Blackboard for me and it looks exactly like the real one. This is the real one and that other one is the fake one. Move this, okay. So let's say that I'm gonna pretend to log into my fake one. This is not my real ID, please do not hack this. It's meant that this is my real one, but it's not, okay. And then I'm going to put a super secure password, press login. Okay, I'm gonna think if I have a history of bad internet connection that, oh, okay, just refresh the page or something happened. But now I can see that I'm redirected to the real one. And if I check, my user ID and my password were stolen. Please, this is not my real password. It shouldn't be your real password either. I hope that nobody has this password. If you do, change it immediately. Okay. So, but you know, this is just the link. I just cloned a site. Let's say I want to do something else. Okay, I want to send a phishing email. Okay, using the same thing. I want to take somebody's Google account. So I'm going to go back to the credential harvester and I'm going to choose a web template. I'm just going to use the same one and I'm going to pick Google. So that's been cloned and it's probably going to go back to the same one. So now I can get somebody's Google details. But how do I make this somewhat convincing? What I'm going to do is I'm going to open the toolkit again, and we're going to use a different tool this time. Okay, social engineering attacks once again. Then I will go to the mass mailer attack. And I want to a single email address. So I'm going to do that one. So this one just sends an email to somebody, and we're going to do this right now. So I actually made a Google account for this workshop, and that's the email that I'm going to send it to. I'm going to use a Gmail account. So I'm going to send it to myself just to show you how this works. I want the user to see that this is from Google support. And I'm going to put the real password to this email. Yes, please do flag it as high priority. Do I want to attach a file? No, but this is an option that you can do. You can attach a malicious PDF or another malicious file in order to do something. An inline file, no thank you. Email subject, let's say urgent, suspicious activity detected. I want it in plain text. I don't want the user to see HTML because then they'd be confused. Okay, now let's enter our message. Hello, user. We have detected some suspicious activity from your Google account. It is in your best interest to log in again from this secure link. Of course, our secure link is this one. Can go back and paste it. All right, thank you, Google support team. And really hope this sends. Okay, so it sent the email, and let's go check. So I just received this message, and if I didn't know any better, I'm going to click on this link. It's going to take me right here. I'm going to think, oh no, I want my Google account to be secure, so I'm going to put in my email and password, but it's going to be sent to my hacker, and then they can do whatever they want with my account. But let's say I want to send a message to multiple people. Say the lovely people that came to my workshop today. Lovely people who thought there was an issue with شهادات الحضور حقتهم. I am going to send you guys a little souvenir. So what I did, I had a lovely friend of mine here in the audience take all your email addresses that you sent me, and now I will send you a phishing email. I'm just going to copy the path to this. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. Let's double check the name. Emails. And I'm going to send you from this Google one. What should I put the name? What should I put a name? Social. Okay. Yes. No, no. Email subject is a little souvenir. I hope I spelled that right. Okay. Plain text. Hello, attendee. Thank you very much for coming to my workshop today. I hope you had fun and learned something new. All the best. Rana at GDSC. IAU. And with that, enjoy this little souvenir, this fake phishing email that I sent you. It should be sent momentarily to all of you guys. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Any questions?